Good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever you are. I'm Paul Clark and welcome to my studio. So, what have I got for you lovely lot today? Well, last week I showed you my latest sketchbook and I had literally quite a few of you request to do more wildlife and also some more line and wash. So I thought we'd combine the two together and have a go at painting this lovely African elephant. Oh, and do hang about to the end because we've got some lovely paintings by the Facebook group of elephants. So come and join me and we'll paint this step by step together. And here's the reference photo today's tutorial is based on, which I got from Pixabay. Today's materials. My paper is some Winsor & Newton Professional. It's £140, 100% cotton. It's on a block so it won't need stretching, but of course any decent watercolour paper will do. And my colours today are cobalt blue, French ultramarine blue, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, burnt umber, Payne's grey and dark sateen purple, a touch of white gouache and just two brushes from my range, a number 12 and number 6 round. And just to plan my composition, I've just done a quick sketch and I've decided to make this a vignette style painting. Right, here's the pencil sketch, and as always this is free to download from my website, link in the description below. Next, I'm taking a unpronounceable Micron graphic fine liner pen. Any black pen will do, but the important thing is it's waterproof. Even a black ballpoint pen will do the job. And I'm drawing in quite a sketchy way, leaving plenty of gaps and using a nice wobbly line. I always like to put a bit of character in my line work. I don't want it to look like a technical illustration. Now this whole inking stage took me probably about 15 minutes, so I have speeded it up considerably. And because I'm working on a cold press paper, it is helping me get more feeling in my line work. And changing it from the reference photo, I've decided to add in a few rocks and a water hole to put the elephant's reflection in. Now it really is important that you make sure all your ink work is dry before rubbing out the pencil. Trust me, I've smudged many a good drawing before now. Off we go, and I'm starting using my number 12 brush and going straight in with some cobalt blue just in this top area around the elephant. And I'm softening some of the top edges with clean water because I want a vignette style painting today, so I'm not going to paint straight up to the edge. And while I've got the blue on the brush, let's paint in the base wash for the water here. Next, for my greens, I'm using my normal mix of cadmium yellow and cobalt blue, and I'm blending this into the sky background. Everything going in wet. Next, I'm taking some yellow ochre for the ground, and I'm also blending that into the green bush. And again, softening the edges to get that vignette feel. I'm using a much darker bluey based green here to get some shadow details in the bush here, as well as dropping in some burnt umber. I'm not trying to copy the reference photo too closely, just doing my own thing here. And a nice light wash of Payne's Grey here for the rocks. So now we need to let this totally dry. So it's a perfect time for a short break, and it's got to be a glass of Carlsberg Elephant. Next, it's time for the elephant, and I'm putting in this really watery base wash of yellow ochre and burnt umber. Okay, so this is where I'm really going to go off-piste from the reference photo and really make it my own, and I'm going to stick in all sorts of weird and wonderful colours just to give it a nice arty feel. Here's some cobalt blue, wet in wet. And let's go really avant-garde here, and I'm going to drop in some purple. And I like the juxtaposition here with the fairly natural background colours to these wacky colours of the elephant. Because although I quite liked my original sketch, I just felt it lacked a little bit of interest. It may not work, but art should always be about experimenting. Next, I'm just painting some shadows on the rocks to give them a bit of form and definition, and a few details on the water's edge. And then splatting some stony texture with my brush. And you can just mop up any stray dots. A little more detail in the bushy things back here using the dry brush technique, keeping that brush nice and flat to the paper to pick up its texture. And here, using some burnt umber and my number 6 brush, just some suggestion of these long grasses that you get in the savannah. Okay, so now we're going to bring the elephant to life with some nice deep shadows and contrasts. So I'm starting by just wetting his ear, dropping in this little touch of burnt umber, then dropping in wet in wet some French ultramarine blue. Now this is going to be impossible for me to give you all the exact mixes of these colours, but basically I'm using a combination of the burnt umber, French ultramarine blue, the dark sitting purple, and even some Payne's Grey in all these shadows on the elephant, but I'm letting all the colours mix and blend. I'll try to list the colours as I use them below. What I am constantly doing is using clean water to soften some of the edges. You're You'll always hear me say it, that I think a good watercolour always works with a combination of hard and soft edges. Now, I have been practicing over the last few days my elephant impression, which is quite hard, getting the tone right with the right intonation. Anyway, here we go. Yeah, I think that's my best so far. Now this back leg here, I'm trying to create a bit of a lost and found edge, so I'm letting it sort of blend into the background. And as you can see, I'm getting nice combinations of greys and blues, warm greys and cool greys, purples, just by letting all these colours mix together. Okay, now for the reflection in the water, and I'm starting by completely wetting all this area. Then painting in all the same greys and blues and browns that I've used on the elephant. I'm painting in these vertical stripes, matching all the values that are above. The important thing is that these do go in wet. And even a bit of green here to match the reflection of the bush. Okay, so I'm letting that totally dry, then I'm coming back in with my number 6 brush and just painting in some wrinkly skin details. And of course, these little ridges on his trunk are very important. And of course these vertical ridges on his trunk are equally important. Is it a he or a she? I'm not really sure, but I do know that it's an African elephant because of those big wide ears. And of course we mustn't forget the elephant's cast shadow, which will help to locate him on the ground. Right, a few little ripple details in the water, and I'm using my number 6 brush and just skimming across the surface of the paper, helping me to get those tapered ends. Mixed media time, and I'm using a creamy coloured pastel pencil just to add in a few grasses and some branch details. Now, I could have masked these out with masking fluid, but look how much more of a natural stroke you get with a pastel pencil. If you've just got watercolour pencils, they will work, they just won't be quite as opaque. Oh, and I missed out that little bit of light hitting his foot. Now all the painting is done, I can just judge if I need to bring out any of the ink work, so I'm just coming back in with my waterproof pen. Right, now for some final little highlights, I'm using some white gouache. This is Titanium White by Jackman's. And just adding a few little sparkles here and there. It's always good to put a few little highlights in the water. There we go, all done, and this one in just over 2 hours. Well, I hope you enjoyed that as much as I did, and you'll give it a go. It's definitely one that you could do as a conventional watercolour or as a line and wash. So coming up now, as promised, are some lovely paintings by our Facebook group of elephants. These were painted a couple of years ago and just purely selected at random, so I hope you enjoy those. And in the meantime, please don't forget to like. Subscribe if you haven't already, it is free. Hang on. Leave a comment, I do read every single one, can't always reply to them all. And of course, I look forward to seeing you all again next week for another Watercolour Wednesday. Cheers now, everyone.